Hi, and welcome to 647. 6 stories for 7 a.m. because there's a famine of truth in our land, and this is your quick news fix. And the truth starts now, and here's some ugly truth. For those of you who were involved in the bloodbath yesterday with gold and silver, especially silver, this was all a manipulation, right? This is the big banks betting against the deplorables. They had a big short position on silver, and silver was going up above 5,000, well up, and they were going to get nailed to the tune of $10 billion on their short position. And so they use the Fed. This is yet another reason to get rid of the Fed, right? They put this Warsh guy in. He's a strong dollar guy. It panics everybody. They knew it would do that. All the silver owners run for the exits, and the price drops, and their short is no longer painful. And they have the added benefit of now buying at a 30+ percentage point reduction in the price. What can I say? Because everybody reacts before they think it through, we all take a 30% plus hit. Great job. Get rid of the Fed. All right, Trump, you should do something about that. And this is what he's done. Nationwide rent declines as border enforcement reduces migration. This is a good thing. White House spokesman Caroline Leavitt touted the nationwide decline in rents amid President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration and before the November midterm elections. Okay? Apartment rents have dropped to the lowest level in 4 years. Why is that? Because the Democrats are bringing in illegals to fill their voter rolls and then put them all on welfare to make sure they vote blue, and then all these people are inundating all of the housing. So the national median rent in January was $1,353, a drop of 1.4% compared with 1 year ago. It is reportedly the lowest January rent since 2022. Rents are now 6.2% lower than their last peak in the summer of 22. The White House released a statement celebrating the drop in rents nationwide and crediting Trump's comprehensive approach to housing, increasing supply, reducing bureaucratic barriers, and empowering builders to meet demand. The decline in rents is a boon for young American citizens because it helps them leave their parents' houses, socialize with their peers, and save for future house purchases before starting their own families. That is the long-term gain for the GOP, which benefits when Americans form their own families. All right. Take two. Got two little stories here. You may have heard, how could you not, that 1 million pages of Epstein emails dropped on Friday. And what did the mainstream media say? It's all redacted. There's nothing there. 1 million pages. There's nothing there to frame Trump with. It's nothing. It's nothing. Stay away from it. Well, guess what? It doesn't include things about Trump, and so it's of no value to them. But it's of value to us, and we're going to see it over this next week and the week following. So here's just some little tidbits from what the Democrats said. Nothing here, nothing to see. Epstein emails reveal sex predator's shocking claims about Bill Gates. I'm not shocked. The latest release of the Epstein files includes a 2013 email from the disgraced financier and sex predator to himself about the Microsoft co-founder, in which Epstein claims Gates caught an STD after sex with young Russian girls and wanted to slip antibiotics to his wife instead of telling her. Gates insists the claims are completely false. Of course he does. In the 2013 email, written seemingly in the voice of one of Gates' top advisors, Boris Nikolic, but sent only to Epstein himself, the disgraced financier and convicted sex predator, wrote that the Microsoft co-founder was trying to get drugs in order to deal with consequences of sex with the young Russian girls. Epstein added that the billionaire had also asked to be provided with antibiotics so that he could secretly drug his then-wife, Melinda Gates. This is a high-honor guy. The email appears to be notes Epstein drafted for Gates' longtime advisor, Boris Nikolic, who seemingly sought to announce his intent to resign from both the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Gates Ventures after some type of dispute. Epstein's email began with a lengthy rant to Gates in Nikolic's voice, declaring, "I cannot believe that you have chosen to disregard our friendship after the Microsoft co-founder asked him to be the major actor in a cover-up so that you can maintain the reputation that you have worked so hard to achieve. To add insult to injury, you then implore me to please delete the emails regarding your STD, sexually transmitted disease, your request that I provide you antibiotics that you can surreptitiously give to Melinda, and the description of your penis in its current diseased state." Now, that's what we call TMI, but for Democrats, there's nothing to see. There's nothing here. Forget about it. It's all redacted. We can't pin anything on Trump, so let's just disregard it. All right. Here's another little tidbit in the same genre. Giants owner Steve Tisch. In emails from 2013, Tisch, now 76, is shown emailing Epstein, who at the time already had a conviction for procuring a child for prostitution, asking if the Ukrainian girl was a pro or civilian. In a separate email, Tisch asked Epstein about a woman the disgraced financier had described as a Tahitian named Emily, wondering if she was a working girl. One time he inquired whether a particular woman was fun. In one email, Tisch asked Epstein, "Is my present in New York City?" When Epstein replied to the affirmative, Tisch asked, "Can I get my surprise to take me to lunch tomorrow?" These are lovely men, these billionaires. We had a brief association where we exchanged emails about, this is Tisch saying this, we had a brief email when we exchanged emails about adult women, and in addition, we discussed movies, philanthropy, and investments, Tisch said. I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island. As we all know now, he was a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with. At least one exchange between Tisch and Epstein occurred during an NFL meeting, the emails show, and Tisch offered Epstein 2 tickets to his suite for a Giants game, and Epstein offered Tisch an invitation to his private Caribbean island. It is unclear what, if any, punishment will be levied against Tisch or the Giants, but owners are subject to the NFL's personal conduct policy, often applied to suspending players. Well, he's a player. It's just illegal minors that he likes playing with. All right, take 3. First detransitioner malpractice case win. And guess where it happened? New York City. A New York jury awards $2 million in a landmark case over teen double mastectomy. Okay? This is going to be a summary of some of the cases that are going on. And this first one, getting a win in New York City, is a long way towards getting this mutilation of children who have gender dysphoria, body image issues, but do not need to go under the knife or take dramatic hormone therapy. So this young woman's name is Fox Varian, a young woman who identified as a boy in her teens, was only a minor when she said doctors in New York convinced her to undergo a double mastectomy as part of her transition. Varian filed a lawsuit against the doctors. In a landmark decision, the New York Post reports Varian was awarded $1.6 million for past and future pain and suffering, and an additional $400,000 for future medical expenses in the first detransitioner malpractice lawsuit in the nation to go to trial and win. Psychologist Kenneth Einhorn and surgeon Simon Chin were held responsible in Westchester County Supreme Court in White Plains for ignoring standards of care and procedural guardrails by pressuring the minor into addressing gender dysphoria with permanent surgery, the jury decided. Lawyers for Varian pointed the finger at Einhorn, saying he drove the train and was putting the idea in Fox's head that she needed to change her gender with surgery, according to the report. Varian's mother, Claire Deacon, testified that she was against the surgery but consented to it out of fear her daughter would commit suicide, according to the outlet. Varian's attorneys have suggested that she actually had body dysmorphia and irrational obsession with a flaw or part of one's anatomy. They allege that the healthcare professionals did not give enough consideration to her host of other problems: depression, autism, social phobia, anxiety, and anorexia. Deacon said she was never fully on board with the procedure and initially told Einhorn that it was never going to happen if she had any say in the matter. This led to many heated discussions with the psychologist. This man was just so emphatic and pushing that I felt there was no good decision. So that's Fox Varian. This is Chloe Cole, who detransitioned in 2021 after about 5 years of gender-affirming care. Varian versus Einhorn is the first detransitioner lawsuit to reach a verdict, and Fox Varian was awarded $2 million. Even better is that this was in New York. I'm going to trial as well against my doctors with, this is Chloe Cole, at Liberty Center, and this gives me even more hope that I will get justice for myself because Fox Varian won her award. In July of 2023, Chloe Cole spent her 19th birthday before the U.S. House of Representatives, reliving her horrifying, life-altering experience with gender-affirming care. Cole pleaded with House lawmakers during a hearing on gender-affirming care for minors to put an end to child sex changes and shared the heartbreaking details of how her parents were manipulated by a sinister gender specialist into having her mutilated. There are currently approximately 28 detransitioner lawsuits in different stages of legal proceedings across the country. Soren Aldaco was only 17 years old when she went on transgender hormones, and by the time she was 19, she had a body-altering double mastectomy. Aldaco, who is now a 22-year-old student at the University of Texas at Austin, is suing the medical providers who allegedly enabled the body mutilations she now regrets. In 2023, a 25-year-old North Carolina woman filed a lawsuit against doctors who aided her sex change when she was only 15 years old. Okay. You know what? There's going to be more and more of it, and the awards are going to go up. $1.6 million, that's not much for what these doctors did. This woman's got this problem for the rest of her life now. All right, take 4. U.S. will cut tariffs on India to 18% in trade deal. So I don't know how he did it, but Modi was going to be best friends with Russia, and somehow Trump broke through on that. So Trump said he agreed to reduce the reciprocal tariff rate on India from 25% to 18% following a phone call with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The administration will also drop an additional 25% tariff that had been imposed on India over its purchases of Russian oil. The combined reduction brings the total tariff rate on many Indian goods down from 50% to 18%. You see the value of this tariff thing? It's leverage. It's negotiated leverage for Trump. So, out of our friendship and respect for Prime Minister Modi, and as per his request, effective immediately, we agreed to a trade deal between the United States and India, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Under the agreement, India committed to reduce its own tariffs and non-tariff barriers against American goods to 0. Modi also agreed to stop purchasing Russian oil and to buy more than $500 billion worth of U.S. energy, technology, agricultural products, and coal. He agreed to stop buying Russian oil and to buy much more from the United States and potentially Venezuela. This will help end the war in Ukraine. Trump's playing the field here, and he's doing a great job. And he will get that war finished up because this is going to choke off a lot of money from Russia. So good job, Orange Ruffy. Okay, take 5. Starmer calls for Prince of Darkness Mandelson, his ex-U.S. ambassador, to quit Parliament over Epstein emails. It's so ironic because the Dems are screaming from the rafters, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing in 1 million pages of Epstein emails. Further revelations about what has been called potentially criminal conduct of the UK's former ambassador to Washington in the Epstein emails has seen the British Prime Minister call for Peter Mandelson to quit the UK Parliament and renounce his title. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has said the man he handpicked to take one of the highest profile UK government jobs should now be removed from Parliament, where he sits in the upper revising chamber of the House of Lords, and be stripped of his title. A spokesman for the Prime Minister made it clear the Prime Minister's position is that these are jobs for someone else to do, despite the fact the government is already expelling 92 other peers from the House of Lords. Good group. Top Westminster watcher, blog Guido Fawkes, has already stated this buck passing is to get the Prime Minister out of the politically embarrassing position of having to act himself against the guy he handpicked. Get it? Lord Mandelson, long known as in the UK as the Prince of Darkness for his consummate political and media handling skills, was plunged further into disgrace over the weekend with the release of a new tranche of Jeffrey Epstein emails. Also, among the files revealed this weekend was an image of Mandelson in a state of undress. A totally naked picture. They just can't bring themselves to say it. An image of Mandelson in a state of undress Even at this late stage and with so much apparently revealed, it was reported Mandelson had attempted to downplay the matter, telling Sky News, through a spokesman, of course, yesterday, of a photograph that no one can say who or where the photo was taken. Lord Mandelson has absolutely no idea, or indeed whether it has any connection to Epstein at all. Yeah. Yet today, the same broadcaster claims to have geolocated the image to Epstein's Paris apartment using the distinctive interior decoration of the room and artistic iron railings visible outside. The Daily Telegraph reports that if it is proven that Mandelson passed confidential government documents that he had access to as a minister of the British government to Epstein, it could be a criminal offense. Former Prime Minister Gordon Brown, under whose leadership this is alleged to have happened, said today that he's written to the government to request an inquiry into the claimed leaks. But nothing to see here, say the Dems. All right, just a quick tab following Melania. Not that I care that much about princess movies and all this stuff, okay? But what I care about is the left underhandedly trying to defeat this movie before it even gets a chance to be seen, okay? That's what irritates me. That's why I keep bringing this up. Here's John Nolte again from Breitbart. Melania box office humiliates Barack Obama's movies. So if you remember, when Barack and Michelle left, Netflix was just paying them gobs of money for movie ideas and producing movies and everything. And so Melania's weekend box office haul of $7 million not only represents the best opening weekend for a documentary in a decade, but also humiliated two Barack Obama movies released theatrically, right, in theaters. Back in 2018, the hagiography, The Final Year, was released theatrically to great humiliation for all involved, advertised as a chronicle of the Barack Obama administration's foreign policy team and the events of Obama's final year in office. It failed miserably, never landing in more than 39 theaters. Even though it was almost certainly released into Democrat-heavy cities like LA and New York, The Final Year only grossed, not a typo, $121 per theater during its opening weekend in only 8 theaters. Yeah, 8 empty theaters. By comparison, across 1,778 theaters, Melania grossed $1,035 per theater. So, Obama humiliated again. And here's our ARM study, Advanced Reprobate Mind Study. And I want you to note, okay, over on this side of the Atlantic, the Trump and Pete Hegseth show is bringing record-breaking enlistments, right? Because they're putting out a great and positive image, and Americans are responding to it. On the other side, in Francais, Macron and Brigitte are inspiring other behavior. And that would bring up this story, Advanced Reprobate Mind. So this is somebody with a reprobate mind, and that's almost a birthright in France. So let's see what this is about. French hospital evacuated after doctors find a live World War I artillery shell in patient's rectum. This could be a French thing that I just haven't heard of before, but let's see. Let's keep an open mind on this, okay? The Ranguel Accident and Emergency Unit in Toulouse was evacuated after doctors found an 8-inch long live World War I artillery shell in a man's rectum, according to the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail quoted an investigating source who indicated that the patient, a 24-year-old man, was in a state of extreme discomfort, having inserted a large object up his rectum. Because the artillery shell was not inert, meaning it could go off at any time, bomb disposal experts were called in, as was the fire brigade. The New York Post noted that a security perimeter was set up around the medical facility while the artillery shell was being removed and handled. And just note, absolute professional decorum was observed by all first responders, despite being French. Mon Dieu! Woo! Sacre bleu. But we're not French, and we're not sticking explosives in openings. No, we're 647. We got more sense than that, right? There may be a famine of truth, but if you find an artillery shell, I know you wouldn't grab it. I know you wouldn't do anything with it. You'd call the authorities and tell people stay away from it. But if you're French, nothing is out of bounds. So we're staying in bounds with the good God, Lord Almighty Jehovah. Thank you, dear Father. Thank you for getting us to February of 2026. We want to get to July of 2028, the golden age, a whole new time in America. And dear God, I know you will bless us. I know you will lead us. You already know the outcome. And I want you to please put your arms around all of these folks. I don't want to forget about Andy Wolf or Ben Sass. I know there's more. I can't remember the name now of the woman in Colorado in prison. I'm ashamed to say it. It's not going to come. All right? You could email me and help out. Dear God, stretch out your arms and help them all. Tina Peters, nobody helped me. We want Tina out of jail. Please send emails. Bury these offices of these senators and congressmen in that awful blue state. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for everything that you do for us, including all the things that we don't even know about. But I know about them, and you will know about them. And God bless you, and thank you for being here on Tuesday. Take care.
Take a picture, it'll last longer. The mirror on the wall say I'm getting stronger. And the mirror don't lie. If you want the truth, don't close your eyes.